What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 15, Episode 5, Drama for Your Mama. So, there's been a lot of talk about the Real Housewives of Atlanta in the blogs lately, and it's been centered around the very low ratings that this show is receiving. A lot of people talking about that it's time for the Real Housewives of Atlanta either to be revamped or just gotten rid of altogether. People are talking about bringing Portia and Phaedra and Kim and definitely Nene, bringing these people back. I don't even think that's even the solution because there's a reason why these people are no longer on the show. So I don't think the solution is to bring back old people, and the solution may or may not be to bring in new people, which they've been trying to bring in new people. Like, Drew was kind of new, and then Sonya came in, and now we have Courtney. So the new people that they're bringing in, it's not working. I don't think they should bring in the old people because we've been there, done that. Why are we going back in time? I think what needs to happen, I think it's time for all of these housewife franchise just to be put to bed. I think we have come to the end of the road with the Real Housewives of whatever. Andy Cohen's going to have to find another way to make his coin, and it can't be with the Real Housewives anymore because it is the same old recycled plot lines, storylines, whatever you want to call it. It's the same old year after year after year. And one of the things that bothers me the most on some of these franchises is that I hate it when the entire season is centered around a storyline that is being generated by someone or something that's not even on the show. For example, on The Real Housewives of New Jersey, the whole entire season was about what some third party had said about someone on the show, and that third party, their statements that was the center of one of the major storylines this season. That third party wasn't even on the show. Never made an appearance on the show, nothing. But the things that they said affected the storylines of the show. That I can't stand. If whatever somebody says is going to be a part of one of the major storylines, that person needs to be on the show. And for whatever reason, if they're not on the show, then whatever they say should be null and void and not mentioned on the show. Let's concentrate on the people that are actually on the show. This happened also with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Erica Jane. A major part of her storyline was the things that her husband did or didn't do. And I know that somehow or another that affected her, but there's a lot of things that she couldn't talk about because there was all this legal action pending. So she couldn't make any comment or couldn't really say anything about what was going on. That's another thing that bothered me about it is that, her husband, who was on the show, and his legal problems, which can't be talked about on the show, was a big part of the show. And I can't stand that. And another issue is that there'll be about 5, 6, 7 people on a particular cast, but the storyline is only centered around one person or maybe just 2 people, and the others are just kind of putting in their thoughts and opinions about the main plot line that only involves really 2 people on the show. What is the point of having 8 people on a cast if the storyline is only centered around 2 people? Like, I don't understand that. So the solution, I think, is that we need to just get rid of the housewives. It's been a very long run. I think that Andy Cohen has done all that he can with every single franchise. Atlanta, New York, Beverly Hills, OC, Miami is still on and popping though. Maybe he should keep Miami because Miami seems to be kind of like it's still popping, but then he moves it to a streaming service. Like, Miami doesn't even feature on Bravo, which I don't understand, but then we keep the snooze fest ones on Bravo. Anyways, let's just get into it. So as far as the ratings of Atlanta, I think the solution is just to get rid of it, just like they need to get rid of a lot of the other housewives. So this particular episode starts off where last week's episode ended, which was they all came back from the tired charity event, and when they got back to the hotel, Kenya decided to go up to bed because she has her kid with her, so she can't be out, until the wee hours of the morning arguing with Marlo for no reason. So she had to go up and, spend time with her child and put her child to bed. And the women come, they gather around her door and they start banging and kicking her door, demanding that she come back out. For what? I don't know. Y'all don't like her. She don't like y'all. So why do y'all want her to come back out? So she gets upset. She tells them, to get the hell on or she's going to call the cops on them. So all the women go downstairs. Now, when they go downstairs, they're moving from like one area to another area, and you have to go through a door. So when they go through the door, Marlo is at the front of the line. She opens the door, and once she goes through, she kind of like slams the door behind her. And the door really didn't slam, but she did push it with enough force where Mañeta felt some kind of way, because Mañeta was the one that was directly behind her. So Mañeta was like, oh, she tried to slam the door in my face. And so Mañeta gets all up in her feelings. And so what? Like, whatever. I mean, are we going to spend an entire hour talking about whether or not Marlo slammed a door in Mañeta's face? Mañeta, Marlo, they don't like each other. Marlo's crazy. So, what are we surprised about, Mañeta? So then Sonia wants to know the itinerary. She wants to know, why are we here? Where are they? In Birmingham? She's like, why are we here? What is the itinerary? What are we doing tomorrow? I need to know, because Sonia's got a lot going on. She's got to go back home to Atlanta to go do something. Then she's going to come back to Birmingham to continue on with the trip. I don't know what's going on. And so she wants to know the itinerary. Can't nobody give her the itinerary because nobody knows but Mañeta. And Mañeta has sworn, she's been sworn to secrecy by Kenya to not tell the women what's going to be happening the next day, because it's supposed to be a surprise. Kenya wants to surprise the women with her halftime performance at the football game. So Mañeta can't say much of anything. So they get Kenya on the phone while they're downstairs in the lobby. They get Kenya on the phone, and they're complaining about how they don't know what's going on. And Sonia's like, I gotta leave, then I gotta come back, but I don't know what I'm coming back to. So then Kenya's like, you know what? Just go home. Go home and don't come back. And so Sonia was like, well, say less. So she gets her stuff and she's out of there. Kenya finally tells Sheree about the halftime show. So she finally tells Sheree the purpose of the whole trip. And Sheree was like, well, girl, why didn't you just say that? And I feel like, well, I understand why she wanted to surprise the girls, and the girls must have known that they're here for a reason. You got a whole camera crew following you, so you have to be here for a reason. If nothing else, at least you're here to film a scene. It's not like she's leading you to nothing. Something is definitely going to be happening. Just be patient and wait and find out. So even after finding out about Kenyon's performance, Sonia still left. She still wasn't interested. Moving on from there, we are at Candy's house. So Candy and Todd, they're sitting in the living room together, and Todd brings out the poster board that's going to be, I guess, the poster board for a movie that he's producing called, I think it's called The Pass or something. And so it's about a couple that gives each other a pass to go do whatever, and, the drama ensues. So he brings out the poster board. I guess he wanted Candy's opinion about the poster board, and Candy was on her phone. She was busy texting somebody. So Todd gets all up in his feelings because, Candy never gives him any time when it comes to his projects. But when it comes to her projects, he gives her his full attention and, gives her all of his time. And so he's feeling some kind of way. And Candy she don't give a damn. She's just texting away. So then they talk about her mother, Mama Joyce. And she tells, Todd how she feels about what her mom said at BravoCon. She really did not appreciate it. She's been trying to get in contact with her mom, but her mom isn't really responding or something like that. And so Candy has basically reached her limit with her mother. Kenya, she wakes up at the hotel the next morning and she's not feeling well. She had numbness in her left arm. She had trouble breathing and she was feeling extremely dizzy. It was bad enough for her to call 911. Now, some people are saying that she was faking the whole thing because she didn't feel prepared for the performance, or she felt like, I don't know what, but child, this is just, anywho. So she calls 911 and they come and get her. I don't know. To me, I felt like the woman was really sick. I felt like she really wasn't feeling well. She had just gotten over COVID. So it wasn't that shocking to me that she, was not feeling well and had to go to the emergency room, but I don't know. Sheree calls everybody to her room to tell everyone that Kenya wasn't feeling well, and of course to give all the fake concern. Oh my God, poor Kenya, let's pray for her, hope she's going to be okay, all this fake concern. And so Moneta breaks down because her mom had just passed away in July, and I guess Kenya being in the hospital kind of triggered something for her, so she starts crying, but she wasn't too grief stricken that she didn't want to talk about the damn door being slammed in her face, because after she got done crying about her mom, she confronted Marlo about the damn door. Marlo denies having the door slammed, that she had slammed the door in Moneta's face. She did push the door kind of hard, but I don't even know if Marla was even aware on who was behind her. I think she was just so mad about Kenya. She didn't even know who the hell was behind her. And I think she slammed the door out of anger, not because she was trying to hit Moneta with the door. Kenya's assistant tells Sheree that the hospital has been running some tests on Kenya. And Marlo says, well, I did call up there to try to send her flowers, but they told me that she had already checked out. So this is where Marlo is implying that Kenya had faked the whole thing, or it really wasn't that serious, making much ado about nothing. I guess that's what she was trying to imply. Courtney asks Sheree how things are with Drew. And Sheree says, well, we were making some progress, but then I heard that she was lying about me on a podcast. So now we're back to square one. Now, what she's referring to is on some podcast, Drew had said that at the reunion, when Sheree had given out her She by Sheree items to all the ladies, at some point after that, she took everything back. That's what Drew was referring to. And so Sheree's denying that she took everything back. So she's claiming that Drew is lying on her. Kenya. Now we're back at home in Atlanta. Sheree comes over to visit Kenya, and Kenya talks about, because she wasn't able to perform at the halftime show, her brand, Kenya Moore's hair product, missed out on a really good opportunity to promote. They talk about fibroids. Kenya says that she's had several surgeries to get rid of her fibroids, and Sheree says, well, this is what I'm trying to avoid. I don't want to have multiple surgeries, because even if you get them removed with surgery, they can still come back. So she's trying to deal with her fibroids in a different manner, because she's heard about how you can treat them holistically and they won't grow back. Candy has her mother come over to her house. Candy says she tells her mom that the negative comments that Mama Joyce had made about Todd, because what they showed was at BravoCon, the question was because they have the cast of the Real Housewives of Atlanta on stage, and they asked Mama Joyce, can you say 3 or 5 positive things about Todd? And everything she said was not positive, it was negative. And so she tells her mom that, the things that you said about my husband, the negative comments that you made at BravoCon, well, all of that went viral, and I'm having to deal with all of that. And so Mama Joyce, she stood 10 toes down on her comments. She wasn't going to take nothing back. She was like, I was telling the truth. He needs to lighten up, because I was telling the truth. I think she said, well, it doesn't even matter. Mama Joyce said that when she comes over, she says Todd's asleep. She goes, every time I come over, he's asleep. I guess implying that he's lazy and he doesn't produce. And Candy says, well, he's asleep because he's trying to avoid you, because you bring so much negative energy when you come over. Then Mama Joyce says, well, I'm going to stop coming over. Candy tells Mama Joyce to stop with the negative comments. She says, you love your grandkids, don't you? Well, you don't want your grandkids feeling some kind of way because their grandmother is always putting their father down and saying negative things about their father. And then Mama Joyce, once again, she stands she ain't taking nothing back. She's not changing her narrative. She's not changing her opinion on Todd. She's not regretting anything that she's ever said about that man. She is not taking nothing back. She says, well, I don't know what the trash had to do with her loving her grandkids enough to not talk about their dad, but she brings up the fact that Todd don't even teach Ace how to take out the garbage, and that's what a man's supposed to do. A man's supposed to teach his son how to take out the trash, and he ain't even doing that. And so Candy tries to tell her mom, look, we ain't worried about that in this house. I mean, Candy has people probably take out her damn trash. Okay, ain't nobody concerned about that. So Candy was like, mom, she tells her mom, she's like, Mama, I don't want you to always talking about what a man's supposed to do. And my house is different. My household is different. I don't know what she meant by that. I wish she would have explained. Is it different because you take out the trash and Todd doesn't? Is it different because you have people take out the trash for you? Like, what do you like? Anyways, it don't matter. So Candy was like, it's not like that in our household. And she was like, so what does your man do around the house? And Mama Joyce was like, when I get one. And Candy goes, exactly, you don't have one, so stop talking about mine. You don't even have a man and you're busy always talking about mine. Leave my man alone. So Candy suggests that they go to counseling. Candy, why? Why? This does not need counseling. You know how your mother is. You know exactly how your mother is. Your mom is not going to change about. Your mom had a vision of you marrying a multi-billionaire. That's the vision that she had, and that's what she's sticking with. That's what she's sticking to. She never thought that you would marry an assistant producer, whatever the hell he was when you first met him. That was not her vision. So it doesn't matter how much Todd has come up, because Mama Joyce thinks that he only came up because of you, and that if it wasn't for you, he would still be, an assistant producer, whatever it was that he used to do. So that's not going to change with Mama Joyce. You don't need counseling. You just need to ignore your mother. Counseling is not going to change a damn thing. Okay. This is not an issue that needs counseling. Sometimes you just have to let it be and just move on. Kenya, she invites Drew and Sheree over for like some type of what do they call it? I don't know, some type of drip where they, stick a needle in you and they drip all this vitamins or nutrients directly into your system. So when Drew shows up, she hugs Kenya, and then she goes to hug Sheree, and Sheree steps back. And so Sheree will only give her like a high five. So Sheree confronts Drew about Drew's going around talking about how she took back the She by Sheree items. Sheree tells her, I heard you're going around telling people that I took back everything that I gave y'all, and I didn't do that. And whatever bag that Drew had wanted that Sheree had brought out on stage during the reunion, I don't know if she gave the bag and took it back. I don't know. But Sheree said, well, that was my own personal bag. Okay. That was my own personal bag. It wasn't meant to be gifted. And so, I'm feeling some kind of way that you're telling people that I took everything back. And Drew says, well, I didn't say that you took everything back. I don't think that's what I said. So they roll the clip, and in the podcast, or at the podcast, she did say that Sheree took everything back from them. So once again, Drew was caught lying. So Drew's solution is, she's just like, you know what? That was then, this is now, let's just move on. And, Sheree, she really didn't push it. So that was a non-issue. Kenya asked Drew about the whole Marlo incident, when Marlo got all up in her face at the little performance where Drew had gone on stage to perform with Candace. And so Drew gives her version, because Marlo's version, it made Drew seem like she was the aggressor. So Drew gives her version, and she says, well, after everybody left, I went back in, and Marlo was confronting me because I wouldn't say the word, and I'm from Chicago and we don't say that word. I'm like, what? Huh? What? You're from Chicago and people in Chicago don't say the word shooting? Okay, Drew. So yeah, we don't say the word shooting in Chicago. So because I wouldn't say, and she didn't even say it as she was retelling the story, she still didn't say the word. She goes that she got mad at me because I wouldn't say a certain word, and where I'm from in Chicago, we don't say that word. And so somebody, I think it was Sheree was like, I don't know, Sheree or Kenya, one of them was like, oh, you mean the word shooting? And so Drew was like, yeah, so she got mad at me because I wouldn't say that word, and she got up in my face. And then Sheree said, or Kenya, one of them said, well, Marlo told us that you were like standing over her, yelling at her. And Drew said, well, I was standing over her when I was talking to her, and then she stood up and came at me. I bet she left that part out. So of course, Marlo didn't tell him that part. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm so lost in the sauce. What are we talking about exactly? What is the issue here? The bottom line is Marlo confronted Drew about Drew not saying the word shooting when Drew asked Candy about her cousin being shot. I think everyone was in agreement about that, right? Wasn't everybody in agreement about that? Because obviously everybody knows that Marlo had started the conversation. Y'all, anyways. So this is the reason why the show has low ratings. This is the reason why people have given up on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, because it's just a lot of confusion. First of all, let's talk about Candy. Candy and getting on her mom's case about saying negative things about Drew. Candy, you're about 15 years too late. You're about 15 years too late. We've been wanting you to confront your mother about this since year one, or whenever your mom, ever since you and your husband got married, which was 9 years ago. So for about 9 or 10 years, Candy, we've been wanting you to confront your mother on the things that she had been saying about your husband. You do it 9 years later. We're over it. It didn't matter to you for 9 whole years. You didn't care. Why do you care now? We for sure don't care anymore. Mama Joyce can say whatever she wants now because we're used to it now. You let it go on for 9 years. It didn't bother you for 9 years. So why is it an issue now? This thing about Marlo and Drew, it's a non-issue. Marlo getting upset because Drew didn't say the word shooting. This is the most stupid thing I've ever heard of in my life. Why would Marlo care how she asked her question to Candy about her cousin? Now, Marlo, if you're worried about the fact that Candy didn't show enough who else did you tell? Who else knew about? What did everybody else do? I mean, Marlo is harping on, well, Candy didn't this and Candy didn't that when my nephew died. What did everybody else do? What did everybody else do for you when your nephew died? Was it just Candy that didn't give a damn? Or, I mean, what did everybody else do? And then also, I can't believe I forgot to mention this, but it's been talked about a lot. The fact that, Marlo, you're bringing this up now. You and Candy have been on the same show for how many years? You're bringing it up now that she didn't do anything for your cousin. I mean, for your nephew. Like, I maybe because of the fact that Candy's her own cousin was shot at, and this is what's triggering Marlo to bring up her nephew. And so she's upset that Candy didn't do enough for the family. What do you want her to do now? You want her to go get a big old wreath that says, condolences and send it to your nephew's mom? Like, what do you want done now? Now that you're bringing it up, what do you want? Anyways, Sonia, to me, I feel like has always been she's been way too eager to be on this show. It seems like every time Sonia's in a scene, she's trying to be the scene. Like, when she was on the phone and like, so what's the plan for tomorrow? I need to know what we're doing tomorrow. Like I said, evidently Kenya brought y'all here for a reason. If you just wait, you'll figure out why she brought y'all to Birmingham. And then the fact that, she ended up, Sonia does too much for me. I feel like she's always trying to be a scene stealer. She's trying to let them know that I deserve to be on this show because I can bring the drama, I can bring the heat, I can bring the theatrics. And to me, it's just kind of falling short. Mañeta, I mean, Mañeta really can't do much because if Kenya or Candy is not in the scene, who is she going to be a friend of? She's just floundering over there by herself. Marlo gave her something to do when Marlo told her to show the dance that she had taught Kenya for the halftime show. So she got a little bit of camera time there. I don't know. And Kenya, it just seems like not much is going on with Kenya. Like, what is she doing? What's her storyline? What's her plot? I don't know. I have no idea. But this is the reason why this show is failing. And it's just time for it just to be put to rest. There's nothing more that can be said. There's nothing more that we want to know about these women. I'm not interested in Courtney. I'm not interested in Sonia. I'm not interested in, and definitely not interested in Drew. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later.